Hi guys, Anne in Paris, still in Paris, and thank God for that. This is my little sleeping quarters here. I'm sorry guys, I was really tired. I just had a bit of a rest. But I wanted something went through my mind, and I've been chattering to myself the notes in my head that are going through my head about the situation, and I really want to voice this. In St Brendan's, there was a situation a while ago when I was taking action against Julie Kolbeck and the Catholic Education Office. They were giving children ADHD tablets who didn't need to be on those tablets. They were using a doctor from the school. So he was working in the school that Julie was referring these kids to, yet she's not qualified to do so. These kids were going on this medication and being silenced in the classroom, like zombies shortly after. Now these kids were said, I'm going to say said to be, because there was no evidence to support this. It was silenced very quickly, but these kids were said to be abused at the hands of the priests belonging to St Brendan's Catholic Primary School. Now, this is not new information. There was an incident that was brought to my attention when I was taking Julie Kolbeck to court. I wasn't there at the time, so I have to be clear on this. It's third-party information. However, a woman who was willing to bear true witness with regards to the way they were treating my children in that school, for the child sex trafficking crimes, which was not brought to light at the time, had informed me of an incident where a mother of a little boy came into the church now during service. So you could imagine during school hours they do take the kids to church, and because it's part of the practice, it's a Catholic school. And this mother, apparently what happened, she stormed into the church with a knife in her hand that she pulled out of her kitchen drawer, and she stabbed the priest during service. Now, everybody knew about this. It did hit the news. I don't know about the newspapers. I think it would have. But it did hit the news. It happened before my time. And she didn't stab the priest to death, but she did stab him several times. And everybody jumped on her. There were men there. They jumped on her to restrain her and take the knife out of her hand. And when the police came, they took her away in a straitjacket, and she was never seen or heard of again. Now, the reason she did that is because her son was a student at St Brendan's Primary School, and he was being molested by the priests there. And this was under the governess, well, not governess, she was the principal at the time. Julie Kolbeck was the principal at the time. This is what I was told. It's not hard to believe, and if you look at the history of that school. And it was silenced very quickly through psychiatric institutions where they silenced the mother, where they housed the mother for prolonged periods. Now, when I came back from Melbourne to Shepparton, after they took my children, after it was all said and done, it was in 2011, I came back at the beginning of 2012 because I got a job there and I wanted to move back to Shepparton to be close to my son. And he was in the hands of his father, and his father's family are from Marutna, which is next to Shepparton. So to cut a long story short, I moved back to Shepparton to be close to him in case he needed me, although there were court orders prevented me from making contact, and restraining orders without cause that was slammed by the courts on fraud and fabrication, signed evidence that was fabricated, signed by the police. Of turn events, it did not happen, involving my family, who don't even know the incidents because they weren't there. They were just complying with police instructions, signing half-blank documents, and at the police station the police filled out the rest. At the bottom of those documents that I'm referring to, my mother's signature was there, my sister's signature was there, my brother Matthew's signature was there, and they didn't even know what they were signing because the documents at the time, when they were presented to them by the police, they were half blank. So the police filled out the rest at the station behind their back. I found this out later, after the court hearing, unfortunately, so I didn't have an opportunity to defend it. And there was a police officer involved who grew up with my brother. They went to the same school, Narelle Sinclair. The CAT team at the time of the incident, while they were assessing me in my mother and father's house, they cleared me, actually. They said that I did not meet all 5 criteria of the Mental Health Act. The only thing I got wrong was the time and date. The time, actually, I knew the time, but the date and the day. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I went back to Shepparton, and because I got a job there. And I saw a woman there matching the identity of this woman that I was talking about at the beginning of this recording, who stabbed the priest because he was molesting her son, and at the hands of Julie Kovacic, she was the principal at the time. I saw a woman who matched her identity, walking around like a zombie, doing basically the block repeatedly. She was just walking around the block over and over again, like a zombie, senseless, not aware of her environment. That matched the identity of this woman. She was obviously released from the psychiatric institution. I don't know if it's the same woman, but it matched the identity of this woman, and she was just walking around the streets of Shepparton after this like a zombie. Now, I couldn't get to the bottom of it at the time because I was still fighting for contact with my children. And the police were once again applying the same strategy, which is the fraud and fabrication on high-end bribes. And of course, they put your family right in the middle to divide and conquer, which is a breach of the policies of the Department of Child Protection. Now, I'm trying to take this